like that. Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me? Yeah. George Moses Horton. Yeah, that's okay.
We Wear the Mask by Paul Laurence Dunbar. Yeah, that's good.
Altered After Too Many Years Under the Mask by C.A. Conrad. Okay, now that I'm up here, gotta do it. This is the mic check. Are there any Michaels? Any mics in the house? No? This concludes the mic check.
The Light of Stars by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow.
On Virtue by Phyllis Wheatley. Can you hear it good? Good? O thou bright jewel in my aim. Hear it? I strive to comprehend thee. Okay, I'm gonna go down this way.
Hello?
Hello? The Ragged and the Beautiful by Sophia Sinclair. Oh, okay. The Ragged and the Beautiful by Sophia Sinclair. Still, living like they orbit one another, my grandfather, the planet, and Grandma, his moon assigned by some gravitational pull. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to the 2025 South Dakota Poetry Out Loud State Finals Competition. We are very excited to be here with you today. My name is Chloe Goldade, and I will be your MC for today's event. I work as a social media strategist by day, but I have also had the privilege of coaching high school speech and debate in South Dakota for almost 10 years. While I never participated in Poetry Out Loud myself, my love for poetry performance truly blossomed in college. Ever since, I have been captivated by the power of spoken word and the emotion it can convey. It is an absolute honor to introduce this talented group of competitors. Today's program is being live streamed to the South Dakota Arts Council's Facebook and YouTube pages. If you want to let friends and family know where they can tune in, you can send a quick text now, but I'm going to be the bad guy, and then please turn your phones on silent, turn them on Do Not Disturb. We just want to make sure that they will not interrupt anybody's performances here today, and we don't want anyone to be a distraction. Poetry Out Loud is a collaborative program designed by the National Endowment for the Arts and the Poetry Foundation on the national level, and implemented by state arts agencies nationwide. The South Dakota Arts Council receives program funding to carry out Poetry Out Loud in our state, with support from our partners at Arts South Dakota and South Dakota Public Broadcasting. We'd like to thank all of them for working with us to bring Poetry Out Loud to South Dakota. Poetry Out Loud is an engaging and dynamic program that introduces students to the work of great poets through classroom learning, memorization, and recitation. Memorizing poems, reading them over and over again, understanding that the poet chooses words carefully and with specific intent. Saying the words out loud from memory helps to internalize and shine a light on the emotions behind the poem. Reciting the memorized poem to an audience helps focus the poet's words through the student's voice and experience. This visceral experience with poems can lead to a lifelong love of poetry, which can help us all understand and connect to the beauty and tragedy of our world a little better. Now, I'd like to introduce our esteemed panel of judges, whose score will determine which of these students will be named South Dakota's state champion and advance to the Poetry Out Loud National Finals, where they will compete for a cash prize of $20,000. Our first judge is Tatiana Chance. She is a graduate from Augustana University with a BA in theater and elementary education. In her free time, Tatiana loves to travel, and she is the founder and executive director for Help for Hoo-Ha's. She loves spending her summers sweaty for Shakespeare, working with Bear Bodkin's Theater Company, teaching the art of theater to young ones with Spotlight Theater Company, and acting alongside wonderful humans with Goodnight Theater Company. Next is Angelica Mercado Ford. She is a nationally recognized artist, poet, and educator. Originally from Jalisco, Mexico, her writing has been featured in Cream City Review, Acentos Review, Roanoke Review, Glass Poetry Press, Pete Smoke Journal, and more. She is also the author of the poetry collection Todo Revoluciona. Mercado Ford has spent nearly a decade immersed in Sioux Falls art scene, working to create inclusive spaces where everyone feels seen and heard. Angelica holds a Bachelor of Fine Arts from Briarcliff University and a Master of Education in Teaching from the University of Sioux Falls. In addition to her current work as an educator and head debate coach, Mercado Ford is a Sutton Leadership Institute leader, serves as on the Let's Skate Board of Directors and Sioux Falls Art Council Board, and is a belonging and inclusion advocate for the National Speech and Debate Association. Our next judge is Jamie Lynn Olson, hailing from Roberts County, South Dakota. Jamie Lynn began performing folk and bluegrass music at the age of 13. It took a little coaxing from her grandfather to make the transition from the audience to the stage, where old-time country, polka, and regional folk music reign supreme. Nowadays, she performs original folk music accompanied on claw hammer banjo and fingerstyle guitar. Jamie performs solo with Sioux Falls-based band, the JAS Quintet, and as one half of folk duo, the Nesters. When not performing for public audiences, she also brings folk music to elementary students and hospital systems through South Dakota State's Art Council's Artists in the Schools and Communities program and Touring Artist program. Our next judge is Joshua Rudnick, who grew up in the Black Hills of South Dakota and on the eastern plains of Colorado, locations that continuously inform and inspire his work. Joshua is an assistant professor of American Indian and Indigenous Studies at South Dakota State University, and his work examines contemporary Native American literature, aesthetics, and post-colonial decolonization theories. His poetry and literary nonfiction has been featured in Still, Prairie Winds, and Metasphere. In 2021, his manuscript, You Offer the Skin of Your Back, was awarded the USD Distinguished Dissertation Award for the category of Fine Arts and Humanities. In addition to his role at the university, he also serves on the board of directors for the South Dakota Humanities Council and the Federation of State Humanities Councils. Our accuracy judge for the competition today is South Dakota Arts Council Deputy Director Rebecca Cruz. Rebecca is the director of the Arts Education, Communities, and Community Development for the Arts Council, heading up the Poetry Out Loud program. Our scorekeeper today is Ashley Boone, a former English teacher and avid arts supporter. Ashley and her husband, Kevin, own and operate the Farr House in Pierre, a historic home where they offer overnight lodging and produce creative events. We have 8 state finalists competing in this afternoon's event. I'm going to introduce them to you progressively throughout the 3 rounds of competition today. Now, we're all excited to see and hear the students' poetry recitations, and we'll get to that soon, but first I want to take a few minutes to provide an overview of today's competition if you're not familiar. So, throughout 3 rounds of competition, each student will recite 3 poems, one in each round. Students will have selected their poem from an online anthology of more than 1,000 poems. For the competition, students must select 1 poem that's shorter than 25 lines and 1 poem that was written before the start of the 19th century. The same poem may meet both of these criteria, and there are no additional selection requirements. Our judges will give a numerical rating for each recitation in 5 criteria: physical presence, voice and articulation, dramatic appropriateness, evidence of understanding, and overall performance. Accuracy is judged separately. Rebecca, our accuracy judge and prompter, will follow along with each poem and mark missed or incorrect words during the recitation, with deductions for each. If a contestant needs to be prompted, points will also be deducted. It's best for students not to receive a prompt, as each prompt will result in a 3-point accuracy deduction per judge. So students, if you feel like you can't remember the next line, just take a moment, take a breath, and try to get yourself back on track. If you still can't remember, please make eye contact with Rebecca and give her a nod so that she knows for certain that you will need to be prompted, and then she'll prompt you with the next line. She will not provide a prompt unless she receives that signal, as many students will use dramatic pauses during their recitation. Note that overall performance and accuracy are weighted slightly more than the other scoring criteria. Students, as you take the stage today, please follow the contest guidelines. State only the name of the poem, the name of the poet, and begin your memorized recitation. The recitation order has been randomized. Now, let's get started with round 1. Our first competitor today is Mads McCullough from Brookings High School in Brookings, South Dakota.
Amor Mundi by Christina Rossetti. Oh, where are you going with your love locks flowing on the west wind blowing along this valley track? The downhill path is easy. Come with me, and it please ye. We shall escape the uphill by never turning back. So they two went together in glowing August weather. The honey-breathing heather lay to their left and right, and dear she was to dote on. Her swift feet seemed to float on the air like soft twin pigeons too sportive to alight. Oh, what is that in heaven where gray cloud flakes are 7, where blackest clouds hang riven just at the rainy skirt? Oh, that's a meteor sent us, a message dumb, portentous, an undeciphered solemn signal of help or hurt. Oh, what is that glides quickly, where velvet flowers grow thickly, their scent comes rich and sickly, a scaled and hooded worm. Oh, what's that in the hollow? So pale, I quake to follow. Oh, that's a thin, dead body which awaits the eternal term. Turn again, O my sweetest, turn again, false and fleetest, this beaten way thou beatest, I fear is hell's own track. Nay, too steep for hill mounting, nay, too late for cost counting. This downhill path is easy, but there is no going back.
Thank you, Mads. Taking the stage next is Damian Dean from Washington High School in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Sorry, I was rushing our judges, and for their score sheets, I will not do that again. So I will introduce again, taking the stage now is Damian Dean from Washington High School in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
We Wear the Mask by Paul Laurence Dunbar. We wear the mask that grins and lies. It hides our cheeks and shades our eyes. This debt we pay to human guile. With torn and bleeding hearts, we smile and mouth with myriad subtleties. Why should the world be overwise in counting all our tears and sighs? Nay, let them only see us while we wear the mask. We smile, but oh, great Christ, our cries to thee from tortured souls arise. We sing, but oh, the clay is vile beneath our feet and long the mile. But let the world dream otherwise. We wear the mask.
Thank you very much, Damian. Up next, we have Jada Jacobs from Little Wound High School in Kyle, South Dakota.
On Virtue by Phyllis Wheatley. O thou bright jewel in my aim, I strive to comprehend thee. Thine own words declare wisdom is higher than a fool can reach. I cease to wonder and no more attempt thine height to explore, or fathom thy profound. But, O my soul, sink not into despair. Virtue is near thee, and with a gentle hand would now embrace thee, hovers o'er thine head. Fain would the heaven-born soul with her converse, then seek, then court her for her promised bliss. Auspicious Queen, thine heavenly pinions spread and lead celestial chastity along. Lo, now her sacred retinue descends, arrayed in glory from the orbs above. Attend me, virtue. Through my youthful years, O leave me not to the false joys of time, but guide my steps to endless life and bliss. Greatness or goodness, say what I shall call thee to give in higher appellation still. Teach me a better strain, a nobler lay. O thou, enthroned with cherubs in the realms of day.
Thank you, Jada. Our next speaker of the afternoon is James Shelsky from Mitchell High School in Mitchell, South Dakota.
The Light of Stars by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. The night is come, but not too soon, and sinking silently. All silently the little moon drops down behind the sky. There is no light in earth or heaven, but the cold light of stars. And the first watch of the night is given to the red planet Mars. Is it the tender star of love, the star of love and dreams? Oh no, from that blue tent above, a hero's armor gleams. And earnest thoughts within me rise as I behold afar, suspended in the evening skies, the shield of that red star. O star of strength, I see thee stand and smile upon my pain. Thou beckonest with thy mailed hand, and I am strong again. Within my breast there is no light, but the cold light of stars. I give the first watch of the night to the red planet Mars. The star of the unconquered will, he rises in my breast, serene and resolute and still, and calm and self-possessed. And thou too, whosoever thou art, that readest this brief psalm, as one by one your hopes depart, be resolute and calm. O fear not in a world like this, and thou shalt know ere long, know how sublime a thing it is to suffer and be strong.
Thank you, James. Taking the stage next is Gabriel Gatalogo from St. Francis Indian School in St. Francis, South Dakota.
The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that the passing there had warned them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere, ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in the wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
Thank you, Gabriel. Our next speaker this afternoon is Tiana Randall from Jefferson High School in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
George Moses Horton, Myself, by George Moses Horton. I feel myself in need of the inspiring strains of ancient lore. My heart to lift, my empty mind to feed, and all the world explore. I know that I am old and never can recover what is past, but for the future, may some lights unfold and soar from age's blast. I feel resolved to try, my wish to prove, my calling to pursue or mount up from the earth into the sky to show what heaven can do. My genius from a boy has fluttered like a bird within my heart, but could not thus confined her powers employ, impatient to depart. She, like a restless bird, would spread her wing, her power to be unfurled, and let her songs be loudly heard, and dart from world to world.
Thank you, Tiana. Our last competitor for this round is Sophie Fisher, who is homeschooled in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
The Ragged and the Beautiful by Sophia Sinclair. Doubt is a storming bull crashing through the blue-eyed windows of myself. Here, in the heart of my heart, where it never stops raining, I am an outsider looking in. But in the garden of my good days, nobody's wrong. Here, every flower grows ragged and sideways and always beautiful. We bloom with the outcasts, our soon-to-be sunlit, we dreamers. Yes, we are strange and unbelonging. We are just enough of ourselves to catch the wind in our feathers and fly so perfectly away.
All right, that brings us to the end of round one. But before we move on to round two, we want to introduce some special speakers that are here for us today. So we also offer an original poetry component to our competition. The rule is that any school that chooses to submit a student to the recitation competition may submit up to 5 original poems as well. It doesn't have to be the same student that recites. This year, our judges awarded cash prizes to 3 students, and we've invited them to present their original poetry in between our competition rounds today. These presentations are not being scored. Right now, we'll hear from the first of our 3 students, Meridian Hailu. Meridian is a senior at Jefferson High School here in Sioux Falls. While not writing original poetry, she takes part in speech and debate and has qualified to the National Speech and Debate Tournament several times. Meridian is passionate about fighting racial injustice, especially in healthcare. Her favorite poetry selection is Still I Rise by Maya Angelou because she says it's fierce, unapologetic, and everything she wants to embody. This is an original poem from Meridian Hailu.
The flower that blooms. I am a mother. Not in the conventional sense, but as a sister, bearing the weight of responsibility to raise a sibling. The way water doesn't create the flower, but nurtures it and helps it grow. My sister was born not from my body, but from my sacrifice. She grows taller now, her questions stronger, reaching the way vines reach for the sun. With each year, I become strong enough to let her grow, but also strong enough to catch her if the petals begin to wilt.
Thank you, Meridian. We're now moving into round 2 of today's competition. We will continue in the same order as last round. We'll begin with Mads McCullough. Mads is a junior at Brookings High School. When not reciting poetry, she takes part in her school's color guard and helps design costumes for the theater department. She also dabbles in other creative outlets in her free time, including painting, sewing, and reading. Without further ado, Mads McCullough.
The Watchers by William Stanley Braithwaite. Two women on the lone, wet strand. The wind's out with a will to roam. The waves rage war on rocks and sand, and a ship is long due home. The sea sprays in the women's eyes, hearts can writhe like the sea's wild foam. Lower descend the tempestuous skies, for the wind's out with a will to roam. O daughter, thine eyes be better than mine. The waves ascend high as yonder dome. North or south, is there never a sign? And a ship is long due home. They watched there all the long night through, the winds out with a will to roam. Wind and rain and sorrow for two, and heaven on the long reach home.
Thank you, Mads. Next up, we have Damian Dean. Damian is a junior at Washington High School. When not participating in Poetry Out Loud, Damian is involved in his school's oral interpretation speech team, Black Student Union, and Reading Buddies. This year, he qualified for the National Speech and Debate Association National Tournament, which he will compete in June. After you, Damian.
Black Matters by Keith S. Wilson, after D.H. Lawrence. Shall I tell you then that we exist? There came a light, blue and white careening, the police like wailing angels to bitter me. And so, this dark matter is hypothetical. Know that it cannot be seen in the gunpowder of a flower, in a worm that raisins on the concrete, in a man that wills himself not to speak. Gags, oh gags, for a shadow cannot breathe. It deprives them of nothing. Pride is born in the black, and then dies in it. I hear our shadow, low treble of the clasping of our hands. Dark matter is invisible. We infer it. How light bends around a black body, and still you do not see black halos. Even here, my having told you plainly where they are.
Thank you, Damien. Making their way to the stage next is Jada Jacobs. Jada is a senior at Little Wound High School. When not reciting poetry, Jada pursues more athletic endeavors by participating in golf. This past year, Jada has been engaging with college coaches and is taking steps to secure a spot at a Division I school. Please welcome Jada.
Talent by Layli Long Soldier. My first try, I made a hit. It dropped from morning gray, the smallest shadow, both wings slipped inward, mid-flight. The man barked, "Now!" I shot again and again, a third time. With each arrow through the target, I thought, was it luck or was it skill? Luck or skill? As the last one fell, its awkward shape made me run. There, pulsing on the ground, I was astounded by its size. A gangly, white goose throbbed, heaved. Its head, my eyes, dropped. Blood flowers opened in the snow of its neck. Behind my shoulder, stepping down from a yellow bus, child made their way across the field. I shot once more to end it, quickly, close range. It's death. Did I do this to spare the bird from suffering, or to spare the children, the sight? My motives in humid cold. Yes, my knuckles in the cold steamed bright red, because on my stomach, in grass, in rubber boots, pockets, and vests, I slid along with that hunter. I did as he directed. From quiver, my draw, my black lashes in steely-eyed release. It felt good there. It felt strong, my breath in autumn. Was an animal there, I thought? Did I really do this? Did I really? Yet, what difference is muscle? Is an arrow powered upward, or any flight to center when I did not hear it, though? I clearly mouthed, "Poor thing, poor thing, poor thing."
Thank you, Jada. Our next speaker is James Shelsky. James is a junior at Mitchell High School. Outside of Poetry Out Loud, James enjoys swimming, reading, and playing the flute. This past year, James is proud to have made it to swim sectionals, and this summer will be going to Europe for the South Dakota Ambassadors of Music. Welcome to the stage, James.
1969, by Alex Dimitrov. The summer everyone left for the moon, even those yet to be born, and the dead who can't vacation here, but met us all there at the veil between worlds. The #1 song in America was "In the Year 2525," because who has ever lived in the present when there is so much future to continue without us? How the best lover won't need to forgive you, and surely take everything off of your hands, without having to ask, without knowing your name, no matter the number of times you married or didn't. Your favorite midnight movie, the cigarettes you couldn't give up, wanting to kiss other people you shouldn't, and now to forever be kissed by the earth, in the earth, with the earth. When we all briefly left it, to look back on each other from above, shocked by how bright even our pain was, running wildly beside us like an underground river. And whatever language is good for, a sign, a message left up there that reads, "Here, men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon, July 1969 AD. We come in peace for all mankind." Then, returned to continue the war.
Thank you, James. Our next competitor is Gabriel Gatalogo. Gabriel is a sophomore at St. Francis Indian School. When not participating in Poetry Out Loud, he is playing chess, video games, watching movies, listening to music, working out, and planning for his future, and being as, quote, productive as he can. This year, Gabriel ranked second in the state for e-chess, received an honorable mention for Arts and Writing Awards, and participated in NASA's TechRise Student Challenge. Without further ado, Gabriel.
I Am by John Clare. I am. Yet what I am, who cares or knows? My friends forsake me like a memory lost. I am the self-consumer of my woes. They rise and vanish, an oblivious host. Shadows of life whose very soul is lost. And yet I am. I live. Though I am tossed into the nothingness of scorn and noise, into the living sea of waking dream where there is neither sense of life nor joys, but the huge shipwreck of my own esteem. And all that's dear, even those I love the best, are strange, nay, they are stranger than the rest. I long for scenes where man has never trod, for scenes where woman never smiled or wept, there to abide with my Creator, God, and sleep as I in childhood sweetly slept, full of high thoughts, unborn, so let me lie, the grass below, above the vaulted sky.
Thank you, Gabriel. Our next speaker is Tiana Randall. Tiana is a senior at Jefferson High School. When not writing or reciting poetry, she is participating in her school's speech team, Cancer Awareness Club, and Black Student Union. This past year, Tiana received a scholarship to take part in Brown University's 3-week summer poetry program. This summer, Tiana will be returning to compete at the National Speech and Debate Association's national tournament, where she placed 11th in the nation in her category last summer. Please welcome Tiana.
Frederick Douglass by Robert Hayden. When it is finally ours, this freedom, this liberty, this beautiful and terrible thing, needful to man as air, usable as earth, when it belongs at last to all. When it is truly instinct, brain matter, diastole, systole, reflex action. When it is finally one. When it is more than the gaudy mumbo-jumbo of politicians. This man, this Douglass, this former slave, this Negro beaten to his knees, exiled, visioning a world where none is lonely, none hunted, alien. This man, superb in love and logic, this man shall be remembered. Oh, not with statues' rhetoric, not with legends and poems and wreaths of bronze alone, but with the lives grown out of his life. The lives fleshing his dream of the beautiful, needful thing.
Thank you, Tiana. Our last speaker of the round is Sophie Fisher. Sophie is a freshman from Sioux Falls. When not competing with poetry out loud, she loves to read and write. Last year, Sophie read over 180 books, sometimes spending 10 hours a day reading. Recently, Sophie received 3 gold keys, 12 silver keys, and 33 honored mentions at Scholastic's art and writing ceremony. Join me in welcoming Sophie.
The world is about to end, and my grandparents are in love. By Cara Jackson. Still, living like they orbit one another, my grandfather, the planet, and Grandma, his moon assigned by some gravitational pull. They have loved long enough for a working man to retire. Grandma says she's not tired. She wears her husband like a coat that survives every season, talks about him the way my parents talk about vinyl, the subject salvaged by the tent of their tongues. Grandma returns to her love like a hymn, marks it with a color. When the world ends, will it suck the earth of all its love? Will I go taking someone's hand, my skin becoming their skin? The digital age is taking away our winters, and I'm afraid that the sun is my soulmate, that waste waits for a wet kiss. Carbon calls me pretty, and I think death would be a good first date. I hope when the world ends, it leaves them be. Spares Grandpa and his game. Grandma spinning corn into weight. The two of them reeling into Western theme songs. The TV louder than whatever's coming.
Thank you, Sophie. What a great round. As we prep for the next, please enjoy our next original poem from someone who might look a little bit familiar, because she was also your last recitation speaker. Please welcome for her original poem, Sophie Fisher.
Chains. Black man, song of Moses, freedom calls on winds of change. Black man, I guess that's too offensive now, so they make me carve you out of chocolate, sweet and creamy, warm and smooth, melting warm in the sun, but that's belittling. So now you're soil, ancestral roots, but now they say dirt is meant for underfoot. So we throw out that metaphor, and once again you shift to fit the ever-flowing tide of social currents. Now you are gold, the apple of their eye, the crown jewel of America. But in this prissy, prancy scram for safety, they promise I was always on your side, filling children's ears with lies. The victim's mentality is the 21st century's new and improved form of chains to entrap and extract all hopes and dreams, imposed ideals and false truths. You are poor because you are poor, because you were poor, because you will always be poor. You will be judged by the color of your skin, the length of your voice, the lilt of your voice. But no. Tell me I will thrive and I will thrive. Tell me I will go far and I will go far. Tell me to work hard and I will work hard. Tell me I'm smart and I'll believe you. Tell me I'm made for nothing more than empty hands, empty pockets, empty stomachs. Tell me no matter what I do, I will be like those who came before, living, breathing, bleeding, dying, for nothing less, nothing more than to keep the rich and powerful at rest.
Thank you, Sophie. All right, we are ready for round 3. Is everybody ready? All right. For this round, we'd like the competitors to remain on stage following their recitation so we can ask them a question that they filled out for us on a lovely questionnaire before the competition and hear from them in their own words. Starting off the round, we have Mads McCullough.
Altered After Too Many Years Under the Mask by C.A. Conrad. I feel you judging me for becoming agoraphobic in someone else's house. I forgot how I learned to stroll through grocery stores as though there is no crisis. My elbow cannot touch the middle of my back. My fingers, though have found every part of me, Soon, no migration of wild animals will be unknown to humans. We will chart, film, record, publish, archive, everything. It gives us something to do while we annihilate beauty. Poets shoveling a quarry that is really an ongoing crime scene investigation, a study in vomit, imitating vast chronicles of the face. No matter what world we can hold, we will never agree our neglect was worth it. Whatever amount of crazy we can imagine coming at us, double it. I have found the perfect listening chair. Nothing but listeners who sit. I am sitting in it now, listening to my friend, the photographer, whose self-portrait I find reflected in eyes of her every photo.
Thank you.
I get to answer questions.
You
This
get
is
to
so
answer
exciting.
questions.
Yay.
I know you're all super excited about it.
I'm hyped.
All right, so I want you to tell us, you described having a pretty life-changing experience last summer in Arkansas.
yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I was very fortunate enough to go to a concert by the artist by the name of Chappell Rowan, and I was very fortunate to be able to it because we kind of found like the perfect time where she hadn't really done all the famous things we know her for now, so the tickets were much cheaper than you would expect them to be, and I found some lovely people in there. I think it was just a celebration of being very much just all sorts of beautiful things. And I think, maybe not people, but I think you live in a world and it kind of feels like you got to be a little bit quieter. And that's been hard sometimes, to not feel like you can walk in your own skin. So I think it was just a big celebration of being ostentatious, and I really enjoyed that.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I think we all have felt that at our own favorite concerts. All right, we are moving on to our next speaker, Damian Dean.
Caged Bird by Maya Angelou. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends, and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped, and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown, but longed for still. And his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worm is waiting on a dawn bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped, and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown, but longed for still. And his tune is heard on the distant hill. For the caged bird sings of freedom.
Thank you, Damien. Well, the cage bird may sing, but I have heard that you have a pick for the theme song of your life. Can you tell us which song you picked and why?
Was it a Beyonce song?
It was a Beyonce song.
It might have been either Schooling Life or
I believe
Crazy
it
in
was
Love.
Schooling Life.
Oh, okay. I love that song because like it reminds me of like the control and empowerment that you can have over your own life. And in the song, she like specifically explains like how you could be 16, you could be in your 80s, you can be in your 90s, you can be at any age, and no matter what, you can still have the ability to have control over your own life. And I feel like that's what I've been doing so far. Maybe not. I don't know, but yeah.
Thank you so much. Great words of wisdom from Queen Bee and Damien. All right, making their way to the stage next is Jada Jacobs.
All Thirst Quenched by Lois Red Elk. For my granddaughter, Wachawi. I didn't want to scold the sky that year, but Grandma's words taunted my senses. If there is a thirst, then you need to pity the flowers in a loud voice. Ask the frogs why they are being punished. Stomp on the ground and talk to the dried clay about cracking open the earth. I know challenging the storm is risky. Last but not least, burn cedar and pray the lightning doesn't strike your town. That night, the stars disappeared. So did the birds. Perhaps it was the season for rain or the dance. In the western distance, we thought we heard cannon blasts. Looking over, we watched the horizon fill with lightning strikes. Rain couldn't pour hard enough over the thirsty plain. Accompanying clouds called to thunder's voice in extreme decimals, requesting all the water heaven could send forth to come. Rain and more rain filled empty stream bottoms. Rivers who had pulled their dry banks farther and farther from their center begged for a drink to startle dusty beds with a flooding roar. Lives in dormant places begin to stir and awaken. The lives of water beings, those that swim, the ones that hop, and the ones that fly begin to stir. That year, all thirst was quenched.
Thank you, Jada. Now, you told us that you golf, and you also mentioned that competition kind of runs in your family. Can you kind of tell us about that?
My whole family is very competitive. My dad, my mom, they're both very into sports. We turn anything into a competition. Video games, board games, sports, regular everyday activities. Who could do this the fastest? Who could do this the best? And I think that contributed a lot to how I
process and how I think about competition. I'm very serious about it. I go in 100% all the time. I don't see why anyone wouldn't. And I'm grateful for that mentality being instilled into me because it provides a lot of opportunities. And because of that level of my competitive nature, I have the opportunity to compete at a Division I level for golf. And I'm very excited to do that this year.
Fantastic. Who usually wins game night, though?
Depends on the game.
Okay, it's not you all the time?
Not all the time,
Okay,
unfortunately.
okay, that's okay. Thank you so much,
thank you.
Jada. Our next competitor is James Shelsky.
Listening in Deep Space by Diane Thiel. We've always been out looking for answers, telling stories about ourselves, searching for connection, choosing to send out Stravinsky and whale song, which in translation might very well be our undoing instead of a welcome. We launched satellites, probes, telescopes unfolding like origami, navigating geomagnetic storms, major disruptions. Rovers with spirit and perseverance, mapping the unknown. We listen through large arrays adjusted eagerly to hear the news that we are not alone. Considering the history at home, in houses, across continents, oceans, even in quests armed with good intentions, what one seeker has done to another, what will we do when we find each other?
You and your friends like to get together and watch bad movies. Yes. Can you tell us what one of the worst movies you've ever seen is?
There's a movie that's like it's a ripoff of Finding Nemo. It's called Finding Jesus.
Oh.
It's on Tubi, and it's so bad. We watched it like in my basement, and it wasn't even like good. Bad.
Why do you choose to watch bad movies?
We think they're funny.
They just make you laugh?
Yeah, this one didn't. This one was just bad.
All right, thank you, James. All right, next up in our rotation, we have Gabriel Gatalago.
Fire and Ice by Robert Frost. Some say the world will end in fire. Some say in ice. From what I've tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction ice is also great and would suffice.
Thank you, Gabriel.
Yes.
You said that your favorite family tradition is Filipino food.
Absolutely.
So what is your favorite Filipino food?
That is a very hard question. Well, there's countless of them, but one that I've like tried many times along the years is probably like kare kare, which is essentially like this peanut-based soup, and it has meats. I know it sounds crazy, but trust me, it's very delicious because I've never, well, when I look at other countries and their foods, I've never seen like any like based or like the sauce is, or the broth or the soup at least is peanut. And yeah, that's one of the cool things that Filipino food has, and it has like, it's very experimental and you get to try new things. Some, or more or less, some of them are delicious, others maybe not so delicious for some people, but you know, that's the truth. You can't love everything in the world. It's okay to hate things that you don't love, and well, that's life, really.
Absolutely. I would try the soup.
Another one would probably, yeah, not just probably, like just my favorites, probably like sinigang, nilaga, and adobo. That's well known. I don't know. If I were to track back to when you ask what is your favorite food, I would say anything. Anything Filipino is
Awesome.
I love so much. So thank you.
I would love to
for
try
this
it.
poetry. And I also have to thank Miss Heidi and my mom for bringing me here and practicing my oration for, not oration. This is not considered oration, is it? You would just consider this like a, what would you guys consider it?
Poetry recitation?
Oh, recitation, yeah.
Yep.
Poetry recitation, that's what I would put as well. But yeah, I'm just glad to be here, and thank you for
Thank
listening to me.
you. Thank you very much, Gabriel. All right, up next, our speaker is Tiana Randall.
Wade in the Water by Tracy K. Smith. For the Geechee Gula ring shouters. One of the women greeted me. "I love you," she said. She didn't know me, but I believed her. And a terrible new ache rolled over in my chest like in a room where the drapes have been swept back. I love you. I love you, as she continued down the hall past other strangers, each feeling pierced suddenly by pillars of heavy light. I love you throughout the performance, in every hand clap, every stomp. I love you. In the rusted iron chains, someone was made to drag until love let them be unclasped and left empty in the center of the ring. I love you. In the water where they pretended to wade, singing that old blood-deep song that dragged us to those banks and cast us in. I love you. The angles of it scraping at each throat, shouldering past the swirling dust motes in those beams of light that whatever we now knew we could let ourselves feel, knew to climb. Oh woods, oh dogs, oh tree, oh gun, oh girl, run, oh miraculous many gone. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Oh Lord, is this love, the trouble you promised?
Thank you, Tiana. You chose Billie Eilish's What Was I Made For the theme song of your life. Why does that song resonate so strongly for you?
Oh, that's a hard question. I think the first time I heard it, I think it was kind of like a universal experience for everyone hearing it, especially in the Barbie movie. You just resonated with her words, you know. You thought to yourself, you kind of reflected back on your life. Is this what I'm made for? Is what I'm doing right now what I'm passionate about? Is it what I want to continue doing? And I feel like that really spoke to me at that time because I was trying to figure out everything with college and majors and just everything in life. And I feel like the message was just really beautiful. Her voice is beautiful. I mean, I got chills when I heard it first, so I just think it's a beautiful song.
Absolutely. I think we all felt the same way. Thank you, Tiana. Our final speaker of the afternoon is Sophie Fisher.
Invictus by William Ernest Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black is the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloodied but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
Thank you, Sophie. So obviously reading is a huge part of your life, with sometimes almost 10 hours a day you spend reading. So I have to ask, because I'm curious, what is the longest book you've ever read? Do you know off the top of your head?
Maybe like 1,000.
Okay, I was just
Yeah.
curious. And then why are you so passionate about reading?
There's just it's like magic. If you could go be anywhere, do anything at any time. Like, people ask me, like, you like reading? I'm like, you don't? You have found something magical, and people overlook it, but it's something that's so cool and universal.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you so much,
Thank
Sophie.
you.
All right, that concludes our final round of competition. Please enjoy our last original piece for the day by another familiar face from today's recitation competition, Tiana Randall.
Change. We are the new generation that is forced to rebuild this so-called great nation, capable of causing revolutions and havoc in the streets of injustice, of unfolding the truth of America, the land of the free and the home of the brave, with just the click of a button. We are the new generation. We are the change. We are the past America finally comprehending its true power in our voices. Voices that speak up for those unable to be heard. We will make you heard. You are heard. They are choosing to ignore your cries for help and equality, but I will take those somber cries and force the sweet, sorrowful sound of our lives into their minds so they will never forget the music of our battle cries. Continue writing on pieces of paper with anger and despair about the problems of our great world, because Lord knows they will only let us speak if we are giving a speech to entertain, only for them to hear words that rhyme and seem to fall on beat with the perfect time. We are the generation that was forced to grow up at the age of 5, risking our own lives every time we stepped into that classroom, unknowing of the common danger that was so close, yet you claim to be put behind. The past does not mean that it is over. This roller coaster of our lives has come out to be nothing but downhill, moving at 1,000,000 miles per second, and yet here we are, our minds still standing still, frozen in a time that doesn't seem to be real. One thing after another is not my ideal, so I write. I take out all of my issues on a fallen tree that has no choice but to listen. I put pen to paper and describe the way all of these events make me feel. Let me put it into a lesson. Roe v. Wade. Why must me and my sister's body be dictated by a man who can't tell the difference between a medical procedure that could save a woman's or a child's life and a personal opinion? Because with all the utmost disrespect in the world, you shouldn't get to make that decision about me or any other girl. Now let me get started on the White House raid. A group of grown people storming into one of the most treasured homes in the USA, trashing everyone and anything in it. All because they wanted to make America great again. But I'll sit here and wait until the day you can look me in my eyes and honestly say that it was great. for everyone, not stolen from the lands of natives, not built off the blood, sweat, and tears of slaves, and not kept away from anyone seeking a chance of that true American way. Tell me, our nation is great when the majority of minorities have access to proper education, clean food and water, and need not fear for their sons or daughters. Tell me the nation is great when I don't get blamed for the clothes I put on my back every day, and society doesn't blame me for the actions of a grown man who should know the meaning of the words, stay away. Tell me the nation is great when me and my brothers and sisters shouldn't fear for our lives every time we see a cop drive by. Or tell me how great it is when children every second of every day get their lives traded away because of the human trafficking system that has yet to be properly detained. Now, for a moment, let me discuss climate change, something that America seems to be ahead of in the game. Our global temperature is rising slowly. Our world is withering away. It is almost rare in our time now that we get to see snow falling on an early Christmas day. Sea levels are coming to an extreme. Greenhouse gases are surely beginning to exceed. We try to bring it up as often as we can, but you hear nothing. Blatantly oblivious that we must clean up your mess so that when we are older, we and our children may be able to finally rest. I dream that when I am older and somehow find the love I've always wanted, we can continue to build a family without constantly fearing for their life. I know that I claim that children are too much work, but the truth is I dread the thought of actually having one, only for them to go through the same things this new generation must now currently face. We have the power to do incredible things, to actually make a difference in this world, build off the mistakes of those fallen, and truly construct an actual great nation. Because we are the new generation. We are the change.
Thank you, Tiana. And thank you to all the students for all of your hard work and wonderful poems today. Now we have some special treats for you all as we confirm scoring and tally the results. The wonderful staff at the Washington Pavilion brought in some refreshments, and while you all grab a snack and a beverage, one of our judges, Jamie Lynn Olson, will share a special performance with us.
thank you guys so much for sharing your recitations with us today. It was really awesome. It's an honor to have a microphone after all of you. So thank you so much for giving it to me. I'm going to play a couple of original songs and then switch instruments. But this first one that I'll play for you is called Perkins County, and it's about drought. Right in the morning, so no one can see the moisture that cuts through the dust on my cheek. They say back in '80 it was never so dry. Fella ain't lived all the hay he must buy. So roll out, you doggies, don't move so slow. Gotta kick up some clouds, then let the rain go. And don't move so slow. I check the east pasture where mallards dead fly. A fella ain't lived till he's seen his dams dry. Just look at the doggies fighting the flies. Too tired to stand and look me in the eye. So roll on, you doggies, don't move so slow. Gotta kick up some clouds, then let the rain go. Don't move so slow. My daddy was ranching, and his daddy too. Now one job doesn't cut it, some got more than two. So run on, you doggies, don't move so slow. Gotta kick up some clouds that'll let the rain go. Don't move so slow. It comes in the evening, and I hold my breath and stand in the garden and watch it get wet. so much. Don't feel like you need to be quiet about socializing and such. It's definitely, please, please talk amongst yourselves. I'm loud enough, so yeah, I'll be as loud as I want to be. This next tune is about a wolf that I saw driving in the northeastern part of the state where I grew up. And we don't have wolves there either, generally speaking, but this one happened to be passing through in the middle of the day, and that was strange. And so I wrote this song many years ago to kind of explain how that wolf got there.
Chasing those coyotes evermore. Hear my howl. It readies me for slumber, and I no longer feel hunger, for my skill has served me well. And the kill was mine tonight, and taking life before the light, it only keeps me in the stories they all tell. It keeps me in the stories they all tell. Hear my howl. The light of dawn reveals the scene of horror, but no sleuth could do it better. There's no cleaner beast than I, and if you're lucky, you may see a figure moving through the trees, maybe running in the open as the cars go by. Running in the open as the cars hear my howl. Thank you.
Thank you. This next tune is yet to be named, but when a song goes unnamed for so long, it usually just gets whatever weird, or I guess it's an appropriate name that I've been using. But this is titled today "GMO Corn." But it's about getting older and then deciding that you actually do want to live your parents' exact same life in some ways.
When these city lights wear out their usefulness, oh, I'm coming home. Where the dust of my forefathers blackens my boots, oh, I'm coming home. When our money's spent, we'll pay love for rent, where the corn it grows higher than the trees. Hang my city life, I would rather die where the corn it grows higher than the trees. When our pockets are led to this modern ease, oh, I'm coming home. When the little ones come and they outnumber me, oh, I'm coming home. Count me in for cards, bring babes to the bars, where the corn it grows higher than the trees. Throw my burdens up, I will miss well enough, where the corn it grows higher than the trees. When I've missed all the grands and the greats passing, oh, I'm coming home. When the grass fills and the space is disturbed as they lay mahogany stone, lay my dead to rest, mourn the time I left, where the corn it grows higher than the trees. Hang my city life, I've been falling out, where the corn it grows higher than the trees. Oh. Thank you so much. Next, I'm going to play a song that I didn't write, and that's really how I got into performing in the first place, playing other people's music and learning what they were trying to say, and then, of course, making it however I wanted to. And even though I say I play folk music today, it's on the backs of other people. And so it's fun to dig into old songs and see what they still have to say. This one says that, well, there's different interpretations, but for today I'll say that it's about a chicken that can't lay an egg. chicken, she wouldn't lay an egg. Poured hot water up and down her leg. Little chicken holler, little chicken beg. Little chicken laid a hard-boiled egg. Cluck old hen, cluck and sing. Ain't laid an egg since way last spring. Cluck old hen, cluck and squall. Ain't laid an egg since way last fall. My old hen, she's a good hen. She lays eggs for the railroad men. Sometimes 8, sometimes 10. Sometimes enough for all the men. Cluck old hen, cluck and sing. Ain't laid an egg since the way last spring. Cluck old hen, cluck and squall. Ain't laid an egg since the way last fall. First time she cackled in the log. Next time she cackled in the pot. My old hen, she won't do. She lays eggs and taters too. Cluck old hen, cluck and sing. Ain't laid an egg since the way last spring. Cluck old hen, cluck and squall. Ain't laid an egg since the way last fall. My old hen, she's a good hen. She lays eggs for the railroad men. Sometimes one, sometimes two, sometimes enough for the whole blame crew. Cluck old hen, cluck and sing. Ain't laid an egg since the way last spring. Cluck old hen, cluck and squall. Ain't laid an egg since the way last fall. Thank you. This is a kind of a children's song that I wrote for my mom many years ago before I was mom. It's called Pollywogs. Ground in an old oak tree lived a mom raccoon and her babies 3. Spring came early and fall came late, and they all grew fat and they all went away. The sun in a shady bog lived the 12 tadpoles and a mama frog. Spring came early and fall came late, and they all grew legs and they all swam away.
Thank you.
This song is based on a story that I heard Kevin Locke tell. And Kevin Locke was a traditional Lakota hoop dancer and flautist and storyteller. And we lost him last year way too early. But many years ago, I think it was at least 10 or 15 years ago, somewhere in between there, that I got to present alongside him. And one of the stories that he told was, of course, the Black Hills are sacred to the Lakota people, and that's where I live, and I had just moved there when I heard this story. And if you came to the Black Hills long before they were settled, you came as a pilgrim to be alone out in nature and see visions and to pray, and you only stayed for 3 days because they believed that if you stayed for longer than 3 days, you wouldn't appreciate the beauty anymore. And that story really stuck with me, and and this song came out of it. It's called "God Out on the Plains."
Say you couldn't stay more than 3 days, for the beauty of the Black Hills would astound and fade away. Pilgrim, though you've traveled far, say a prayer, gaze at the stars. It's holy land that you stand on, so hit the trail now and be gone. Hit the trail now and be gone. I am a pilgrim on my way. I looked for God out on the plains. Though I cannot find him, still I think he's closer in the hills. I think he's closer in the hills. And though I traipse across this land, can I ever really own it with their blood upon my hands? Truth be told, in spite of my sin, I felt that I was home the very moment I rolled in. The very moment I rolled in. I am a pilgrim on my way. I looked for God out on the plains. Though I cannot find him, still I think he's closer in the hills. I think it's closer in the hills. I am a pilgrim
This is a song about my parents' romance back in the 70s, but it's not meant to be very romantic. It's called Broken Tiles. It's about when my dad bought a farm without telling my mom, and the house was already 100 years by then, 100 years old, and didn't have any running water or a stove, which was important because my mom had just purchased a new electric stove, which, unbeknownst to her, he had traded the stove and their current house for the farm. So she had to learn how to cook on a wood stove, which I think is really cool. Like, I'm into that, but she wasn't into that back then.
See, as our only light drifts into the hills, and I can hardly stand it. We two pour to burn these candles, and sleep claims you as soon as it's dark. You leave me lay here with my regrets compounding. My body's sore, my belly rounding. Broken tiles, wallpaper peeling. Water spots across the ceiling. Not enough for me. Not enough for me. Drifts of snow form in the kitchen, not a stove or pot to piss in. Not enough for me, not enough. And these walls can't hold up my dreams. I see them sliding down the faded patterns, with all thought of leaving bitter tears mixed with the mud. I'm pulling out weeds around young trees, the only roots that anchor me to these broken tiles, wallpaper peeling, water spots across the ceiling. Not enough for me, not enough for me. Drifts of snow form in the kitchen, not a stove or pot to piss in. Not enough for me, not enough. Wind so loud, the baby's crying. Not a prayer for you and I. Not enough for me, not enough. Thank you so much. I believe that's a wrap, but I'm checking in when we're, okay, cool. Just kidding, it's not a wrap. Play one more tune for you. make a lot of small talk, but you don't speak to me. You sing a lot of old songs, but you don't sing to me. We lived in a world where beds weren't made, and we both had so much to say, so much to say. Now I can't tell you nothing of my heart. No, I can't tell you nothing of my heart. No, I can't tell you nothing. No, no, nothing of my heart. You take a lot of cold showers, but you don't get clean. And ours is a warm bed, but there is no heat. I face the small, sleep on my side, and pretend that all is well tonight. All is well tonight. When I can't tell you nothing of my heart. No, I can't tell you nothing of my heart. No, I can't tell you nothing. No, no, nothing of my heart. In my mind, I go there down into the trees. I see them both there, strong and healthy. Even when death floats inside, where lovers quarrel still rule the night. They still rule the night. When I can't tell you nothing of my heart. No, I can't tell you nothing of my heart. I can't tell you nothing. No, no, nothing of my heart.
Thank you so much.
No mic yet. I rushed you. I apologize. That was my fault. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Thank you for that outstanding performance, Jamie. Before we announce our student champion, I want to first thank everyone who has helped make this event happen. First, our students, you are all incredible and inspiring, and we appreciate you being here with us today. Also, the teachers and coaches who introduce poetry out loud to their students and support, encouragement, and travel with them. You are all amazing. We also want to thank all of our fantastic judges who set the example for students who want to work in the arts. Thank you for doing what you do here in South Dakota. We need you, and we appreciate you. Thanks to the Washington Pavilion for this beautiful space, and Pinnacle Productions for helping provide access to those who can't be with us in person. And a huge thank you to our partners, South Dakota Public Broadcasting, specifically Stephen Rakusik, who manages our partnership there, and our wonderful colleagues at Arts South Dakota, Jim, Sarah, Amanda, Andrew, and Shari. Thanks so much for your help and support and enthusiasm whenever we work together. Also, a quick note, after we finish up, we will need the judges, coaches, and students to stick around for a few quick photos that we will take here up on stage. Now, let's find out the results of today's competition. Is everybody ready? All right. If your name is announced, please come up to receive your award. The runner-up for the 2025 South Dakota Poetry Out Loud State Finals will receive a $100 cash prize from the Poetry Foundation, and their school library will receive $200 for the purchase of poetry books. Our state runner-up is Damian Dean from Washington High School in Sioux Falls. Now to announce our state champion. The state champion will receive a $200 cash prize from the Poetry Foundation. Their school library will receive $500 for the purchase of poetry books. And this student will also receive a trip to the Poetry Out Loud National Finals in Washington, D.C., May 5th through the 7th. At the National Finals event, this student will be competing for the title of Poetry Out Loud National Champion and a $20,000 cash prize. The South Dakota 2025 State Poetry Out Loud Champion is Tiana Randall from Jefferson High School in Sioux Falls. Congratulations, Tiana. Tiana will be heading to the national finals in Washington, D.C. in May. Congratulations again to all of our competitors, and thank you for joining us today. Join us again next year for Poetry Out Loud. And competitors, judges, and their coaches, please stay behind for a picture on the stage. Thank you all very much.